So glad to have you on this Monday. It was a really busy weekend watching college football games in Dublin, watching some preseason football. Turns out Perloff and I we're sharing a brain. We're watching the same television shows without even talking to each other about it first. This has been a big, big weekend, and there was, some small story that I might have been involved in that got a lot of oxygen.
To be clear, we were not in Dublin watching college football. The game was in Dublin.
Sorry, was I misleading?
They were giving away free beer, and Maggie texted me. She's like, should we get a charter flight to get out there? Although the line became very long in Dublin because I guess the internet went down and they had to give away free beer at Nebraska Northwestern.
Nebraska Northwestern, all of a sudden you start seeing these weird tweets. Well, first of all, weird tweets because Nebraska was doing some ridiculous stuff to lose that game, and they do, and now we're all kind of watching Scott Frost to see whether or not he's going to get fired immediately, or are they going to wait a little bit because things have just gone awful for him in Lincoln. But we get tweets and we're getting this news, and then it made it into some of the news stories that the internet went down. So they had no choice but to give away free beer. They couldn't charge anybody for it.
Well, my Twitter feed was half that and half you battling former offensive linemen on Twitter about the intricacies of the game. Now, for the record, Maggie, you did not play offensive line in the NFL. Am I correct?
No.
Yeah.
At no level did I play offensive line.
This, of course, goes back to last week when you had an interesting take on the offensive line after Cowboys' Tyron Smith got hurt. Right. That somehow, what's the word from Anchorman? Escalated quickly.
Yeah, it did escalate quickly. All of a sudden, I'm in a back alley in in a knife fight, with Kyle Long. I didn't see that happening. And of course, also Mark Schlereth, who recorded a really nice video sort of explaining some of the things I may have missed on in my take.
Yeah, it's really interesting because obviously your take hit a nerve. I don't think a lot of people understand the intricacies of offensive line. That goes without saying. Most of us have not played high-level offensive line. Yeah. And I do think it's an interesting question. Are they just sort of out there pushing guys around, or are they...
For the left tackle.
Right. Well, I think you could extend it to any line position.
But I said center was very difficult. Right. And when the closer you are in, because picking up blitzes, I never said it was easy. That's for sure. I never said it wasn't important. But here's where I got a little bit jobbed, if I may. And I'm not blaming this on anyone internally here, but I went back and watched the clip a few times, and I realized where I think I went, where I realized why some offensive linemen got very mad at me. When you said a lineman off the street, I said take someone off the street. Right. It's not like it's going to take them a long time to get acclimated. But what is missing in that clip, and it's nobody's fault because I'm not expecting everyone to listen to every minute of the show. What is missing is when I said off the street, I was talking about Andrew Whitworth, Eric Fisher, guys like Jason Peters, guys who actually have played this position at a high level. That's what I meant by off the street, but that didn't make it into the clip, so I understand why the backlash was fierce.
Borderline Hall of Famers or Hall of Famers.
Yeah, right.
Let's talk to actually a great offensive lineman, Mark Schlereth, of course, Fox Sports, host of Schlereth and Evans on 104.3 The Fan in Denver. Now, Mark...
Wait, is this the same man who won 3 Super Bowls? I just want to count them up. 1, 2, 3. Got it.
Mark, we had a lot of sort of borderline offensive linemen coming in, Maggie, but when you jump on and try to correct her, can you explain what Maggie said that you used as an opportunity to educate people?
Well, let me first off say, and I said this, in that video that I posted, was there are a ton of coaches that don't know what we're doing. This is no lie, and this will just tell you how it goes, Maggie. I was on the sideline for a game I was calling last year. I'm not going to tell you the teams, but I had a coaching staff pull me aside. I did an hour tutorial on the zone blocking game for tight end coach, running back coach, offensive coordinator, even head coach, where I ended up talking to them about just the nuance of that position, because everybody knows, hey, you two guys are in zone combination on the defensive tackle to the linebacker or whatever, right? But then it becomes the nuance of actually doing it that makes it so difficult to understand. And this is not my personal fight with Maggie. This is my personal fight with anybody who calls them skill position players versus the linemen, because I truly believe that there's no greater skill in football than moving a man from point A to point B against his will, especially a guy that has equal strength to you but has more athleticism than you. And so that becomes all technique. So this is not me against you guys or me against Maggie. This is me against the general population who doesn't understand like how difficult that position is and the skill and the understanding and the intelligence it takes. And there are some positions where you can go out, you can get a street free agent or a guy that gets cut in camp and you can transition them in, and those guys can pick up the system pretty quickly, certain positions. But other positions are much more difficult to develop the chemistry and the language and being able to, see things the same way. So that's why those 5 guys are such an integral part of the team. And, and the way I was brought up in this league and even in the college game is that's the backbone of any offense. I mean, nothing
Mark,
gets done.
I agree with you. First of all, I've been in New York for the last 4 years where I had to watch the Giants and the Jets. So, I totally do. And offensive line is the key. I think where it got misconstrued is I was talking about bringing out a veteran left tackle and how a left tackle sometimes can be sort of out there one-on-one at times. This is someone who could acclimate quickly. But the intricacies of the offensive line stuff, I love how you educate us about this. It makes us smarter football fans. What I want to know is why did my take strike such a nerve? Because you're saying it's, everyone out there that you want to educate, they all have a face now and it's me. It's like you activated a bat signal and all of a sudden every offensive lineman who's ever put on a uniform was in my mentions.
Right. I apologize for that. I didn't mean to.
Not at all.
That.
It's funny.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things. It was just that I looked at it and go, well, that's just not, for me. And I understand what you're saying, but that's just not. It's not right. But the big thing is, I've been on this crusade for quite some time, Maggie. I mean, this goes all the way back to sitting in a meeting before I was doing a piece on Sunday Countdown back in the day when I first started in business, and they asked me to come do this piece on Sunday Countdown. And this was an argument I had with Michael Irvin. He said the same thing. Oh, you guys either just step right or step left. It's not that big a deal. And I was like, whoa, hold on, dude. You realize for you to catch a ball, for you to even sniff a ball, 10 other guys have to do their job impeccably well for you to even sniff a ball. So, let's talk about the game from the inside out and where it really happened. So, yeah, that's just my overall, call it sensitivity, call it my crusade, if you will. As a matter of fact, I'm here in Denver, and I'm listening to a press conference from Coach Hackett, the new the new head coach of the Denver Broncos, and he referred to the skill position players, and I left him a message, and with a few choice words in it, and I'm like, hey man, let me educate you. So this is not just you. This is my own personal little crusade.
Well, phew.
I am like the Don Quixote of fighting against windmills right now.
Well, thank you, because if I ever meet Coach Hackett and interview him, this is where I'm starting with. I heard that you also were caught in the Mark Schlereth crosshairs, as was I. But no, again, you were being totally respectful about it, and it's all in fun. But one thing I do have to say, Mark, and this, you reminded me of this because you mentioned that Michael Irvin story. The only people coming at me are offensive linemen. I didn't hear a lot from defensive linemen. I didn't hear a lot. In fact, Marcellus Wiley was like, I think she's onto something. I didn't hear a lot from running backs. I didn't hear a lot from other positions. Did you feel like you're even maligned? Obviously you do. You feel like offensive line was even sort of maligned in the building.
Well, yeah. I mean, you think about, they all know how important we are, but they don't, really necessarily understand what it is we do. That's one of the things I always joke about. It's it really becomes like a secret mushroom society. We're the only ones that really know what we're doing. And the only place you really get recognized is when things fall apart, right?
Right.
And so I'll tell you this, if you're an offensive group, and I've had the good fortune of consulting for several different teams over the last few years, and I told a head coach, I was like, here's what I hate about you, and he's like, oh great, and I go, well, let me just finish what I had to say. I go, first off, what is it about you that you'll run the ball 3 times in a row and get 2 yards of carry, and then you'll just throw your hands up and go, screw it, we can't run the ball, but you'll throw 7 incompletions in a row. And ultimately, if you give up 7 sacks in a game, everybody points to the offensive line. Oh, they're terrible. Well, to me, I point to the offensive play caller, the coordinator. You suck. Like, if we give up 7 sacks, that's your fault.
Right.
Because your job as a coordinator is to put us in a position that we can take what I call taking the passive out of pass protection. Hey, I don't care who you are. If you drop back 45 times and you throw a bunch of 5-step with hitch drops or 7-step drops, you're going to give up sacks. It's just the way it is. So you have to give me an opportunity to take 30, 35 snaps of pass pro and say, okay, here's 5 that are 3-step drops. Here's 5 that are 5-step drops with no hitch. Here's a couple of swing passes, a couple of bubble screens. Here's some run action, and then some 7-step but 6, 7-man protection play action. Now all of a sudden I'm down to, hey, you got to hold up 12 to 15 times. And so if I can change my sets and I can do those things, well, then all of a sudden pass protection becomes easy. If I can't hold up, if you give me a plethora of things to attack a defense with and to show them run on pass plays and to do those things, well, if I can't hold up for 15 plays, then I suck and you need a new player. Mm-hmm. So, but the bottom line is people don't really understand like how all that stuff works in unison together. And, that this is a league where you throw it 65% of the time or whatever it is, you damn well better understand how to run the ball. And then you damn well better understand like what that does for you as a group up front, and then how to run it in critical situations where everybody in the stadium knows you're going to run it. Because that's a skill, and that has to be worked on. They have to create those opportunities.
Talking to Mark Schlereth, Fox Sports NFL, 104.3 in Denver. Mark, this all started with the Cowboys and Tyron Smith went down. So let's get to this specific example. What are the Cowboys going to do, and are they going to be able to pull someone off the street who can at least replicate some of what Smith did?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, you talk about Whitworth, and this one of the things that's always funny to me is Whitworth is a damn good player. I mean, the guy's 40-whatever years old, and he's getting ready for TV life. So to come right back in, I mean, it takes a while for your body to acclimate to be able to do those things. And you're just not going to replace the skill that Tyron Smith has. The guy is just an exceptional player. So hopefully the thing that you get is hopefully you've been developing some young guys, and some young guys get an opportunity. Then it becomes, again, it goes back to coaching. We got a slide protection. We got to line up tight ends over there. If we're usually a right-handed formation or we're an open formation, now we got to close down the formation, maybe put a 2 tight end Y off type of formation out there to protect that guy. So there's ways to go about it. But again, it's like a guy could come in and have the gist of the offense down, I think, pretty quickly, especially a guy that's played in multiple organizations. And, the thing that you end up having to do, and this is regardless of position, you have to go, okay, here they call it 200 jet, and where I used to be, it was Charlie 10, right? And so you got to be able to take those things and kind of more from one thing to another. But again, there's the skill to doing what you're doing, right? And it takes work. And then the other thing, the hardest part is the communication aspect. Like when you see something happen, when you've played together for a long time, you can basically look at a dude and go, hey. And they, oh yeah, I got you. I see what, again, you change a blocking scheme. And I think one of the things that happens to you oftentimes is an offensive lineman, when a defense shifts and they move and you are in motion, there's so much motion and shifting on the offensive side that you get a lot of motion and shifting on the defensive side. So when those things happen to you, and all of a sudden a guy shifts from a 1 technique to a 2-eye technique, a 2 technique, a 3 technique, whatever the case may be, just based on that shade, it'll change a blocking assignment. And they don't do it and give you time. It's blue 80, the guy shifts and it's hot. And you can't think about it. You just have to react, and you have to know exactly what you're doing. And all 5 of you have to be on that same page. And that's why continuity becomes so important. And you know it, Maggie, if you're a Giants and Jets fan, you watch those guys revolving department store doors at the offensive line position, and you watch how miserable that offense looks when you're constantly trading out guys, constantly trying to find, a new guy to fill a position either for injury or for lack of performance. It's a nightmare.
So bottom line, Mark, the average fan and average media member.
You got all that, Perloff?
Yeah, I have to be honest.
Taking notes.
Mark, I've been kind of covering the league for a long time, and it's really, really hard to wrap your head around that.
Wait, hold on.
For the average fan.
Can I ask Mark this?
Yeah.
Like, what do I have to do to get back into the good graces of the offensive line community, of which I want to be an upstanding, like, member fan? I can't be a member, but can I be an upstanding fan? Believe me, I know how important you guys are, and I only need those 5 guys working in unison all the time. How do I get back in the good graces?
Here's the key. Like, one thing I loved about playing offensive line, and this is true. I love the team within the team. I've always loved the team concept. And one thing that I think is the most beautiful thing in the world to be a part of is go into an offensive line meeting on Monday and watch guys fight to take responsibility. It's unbelievable. Like, I could give up a sack, and my left tackle would say, "Hey, baloney, that's on me, man. I had a wide 9 technique, and I could have kept the drag hand there. I didn't need to race out there or whatever. I jumped out way too far. I didn't give him any body prints. I'll take that sack. Give it to me." And my center would be like, "Baloney, man, I'm jumping. Like, I got hung up on a 1 technique with guard coming down. I'm supposed to be on the inside hip. I'm the guy that you should take." And meanwhile,
so accountability is what you're telling me.
Dumbass. Yeah, I'm the dumbass that gave up the sack. I'll take it. Right? And so what you can do is say, just throw yourself on the mercy of offensive linemen and say, "Hey, listen, I said something, hindsight being 20/20, it was stupid, and I got educated, and thank you for the education." And then you move on. Like, we love the responsibility taking because we're the only group that does it, right? We're the only group that goes, like, I can play 65 great plays in a row, or we can put a running back, have 200 yards rushing, a quarterback that doesn't touch the ground and is, 24 or 26, and at the end of the game, we're a tagline. Hey, got to think the big fellas up front, what a hell of a job they did. Now let's talk about me for a while. That's the way it works.
Good point.
So you just own it and you say, "Hey, man, I screwed that one up. I've been educated. I move on."
If it makes you feel any better, I do take a lot. Anytime I think something on the show goes wrong, I blame myself. I think in a different life, in a different body, perhaps, I could have been an offensive lineman.
Well, I appreciate that. 100% appreciate that. But always a pleasure. And like I said, I wasn't trying to bring the wrath on you. But I tried to be as respectful as I could.
Oh, no, you guys were great. And I'll tell you what, you and Pat McAfee both together, like, when you say, "I mean no disrespect, but I disagree with you," that was like a master class. I never felt like you guys were trying to come at me personally at all. Of course, I was not coming at offensive linemen personally, so that wouldn't have matched. But, like, I appreciated what you guys said so much. I only took it in the way that you meant it. So thank you for doing that. And now hopefully we can all, like, move on to, like, an all-you-can-eat buffet or something together something.
No, I just feel like we've talked about this relationship that offensive linemen have and the responsibility. And now I just feel like, I feel like Jesus after he healed some sinners. He said, "Go and sin no more." Right? Like, just go.
Yes, you've taught me well.
To Jesus. Thank you. But
you're educating the world, Mark.
Yeah.
No, I think offensive line is a religion now, and the followers are extremely devoted, and I realize that now more than ever.
Well, good enough. Hey, listen, it's a pleasure to be on with you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, say hi to Doc Addicks for me too if you see him.
I definitely will. You good? You guys good? Take care.
Okay,
thanks, bud. Appreciate
Mark.
it. There you go, Maggie. I think we're all smarter, and I think we're all cool.
I think we're good, right?
We're totally cool. Are you kidding me?
I felt like we're cool after that.
I think we get invited to the buffet now.
You think
And
so?
I think the buffet is awesome.
It better be.
It's the only position in only one of the few things in the world, an offensive lineman, where you have to put on weight. You have to eat as much as you humanly can to not lose weight during the season. We want to be offensive linemen.
I know, but we also know that I'm not calling an offensive lineman fat. That's not cool, and that's also not true. These guys are in really good shape. They're just big.
Husky.
I'm not putting any labels on it because I don't need a second wave of this.
Okay, edit out the husky in the podcast. I didn't say that.
We're going to actually stop commenting on offensive linemen anything for a while.
Yeah, you never want your child to be called husky, do you?
I think that was a word from like a different era, you know, like the Husky section used to be a thing and they phased that out. They realized in like 1975 that wasn't cool anymore.
We should just break. We're in a good spot right now. We're in a good spot.
Mark Schlereth back on.
We have some other people we got to reach out to get them in the fold, but that's a great start right there.
I was really worried he was going to say you have to go one by one and apologize to every offensive lineman. It's like, oh man, I already got a day job. That was going to be really tough. I appreciate Mark Schlereth coming on. Definitely do. And maybe we can put this thing to rest. Thank you for watching our video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to see more videos like this, just hit the bell.
Yeah, ring the bell.
Just hit the bell.